The latest episode of The Single Life gave us so much to talk about. There were so many red flags. It's almost like red is their favorite color. These people are holding on to these situationships for dear life, and we need to talk about it. Hi guys, welcome back to Nikki Faces Reality. We're here to discuss episode 2 of the latest season, season 4 of The Single Life. And we finally got us some Veronica. If you're new to the 90 Day Fiancé universe, which bold of you to jump in The Single Life, but Veronica is known as Veronica and Tim. So Tim was a cast member on 90 Day Fiancé, and Veronica was his ex slash co-parent slash best friend. And we usually see Veronica and Tim on Pillow Talk, and they're the dynamic duo. They're always giving input onto all things 90 Day Universe. And Veronica was in the last season of The Single Life, and she's in this one. Introduce her segment, and she's shopping for fruit. And of course, every fruit item that she's picked up looks a little phallic-y. If you follow Pillow Talk, Veronica has always talked about what her dream man would be like and what her dream relationship would be like. And in the last season, she was seriously dating this one guy. He ended up not being too honest, so she moved on. But the guy that she moved on to really was the biggest plot twist for me. She started seeing Jamal. Now, Jamal is Kimberly from, I think, before the 90 days. Kimberly was a cast member because she was dating Soulja Boy. And so Jamal is her son, who's really handsome, but also young. And yeah. And so apparently Jamal hopped into Veronica's DMs, and that was the beginning of their situationship. At the time, he was 27 and she was 36. And you guys, when I first heard of this union, this link up, I was like, no way. Same Veronica that's on 90 Day Pillow Talk, constantly calling out red flags, can't see that dating a young, handsome boy that's definitely giving player vibes, she can't see that that's a huge red flag. I felt like I was being punked. The red flags wave themselves. I was really hoping that this was just a casual hookup, right? Because I'm like, you know what? She deserves to have a little fun. She deserves to have a few wild nights, right? But Veronica is smitten. She is smitten, and you can see it in the eyes. And so after dating for a little bit, they decided to be exclusive, but they're still long distance. I think she's in North Carolina and he's in San Diego. And so they're, so they're in the kitchen and they're flirting and stuff. And she's like, we're so good. We're so good. But you're just not a good communicator. We're good when we're together, but when we're apart, you never respond. Just sometimes we need to hear the things that we say, right? Like if you're telling a man, we're so good when we're together, but you're a terrible communicator when we're apart. It's like I don't exist. That should tell you that you aren't compatible. When she said that, he shrugged like it is what it is. And here's the thing, I don't think either of them are wrong. If he needs someone that is low maintenance in the communication department, that's his right. And if she wants someone that is more attentive, is sending more signals, she's also right. I just think the problem is when you try to force something. Everyone just was honest with their needs. But then again, we wouldn't have a show, right? But I will say though, there's a quote that I love that's like, our actions are in service of our dreams. And I think that can be applied to everything. Like, Veronica is saying that she wants someone that she can build a forever with. I want that for her. She deserves that. But I also think that then you need to align yourself with people that want the same thing as you. And you can't tell the universe or God or whatever God you may follow that you want something, but then do things that completely contradict it. I mean, we saw when they brought Jamal out to the tell-all from the last season. He's like, this is casual. I'm not really, looking to be tied down. I'm seeing how it goes. Very much testing the waters. I don't know. I mean, he could have changed his mind, but even though he's committed, he's still giving that same detached energy. So I don't know. I really like these two apart. Together, they may be a mess. So I don't know. We'll see. And so the next thing that we see is with Veronica and Tim together. And Tim tells us that he was really shocked to hear that Veronica made it official with Jamal, because he's like, he doesn't check any parts of the list aside from him being attractive, right? So Tim gives us some tea. He's like, I just don't see how you see yourself aligned with someone that lives at home, someone that's jobless. And before he continued, Veronica was like, this is a double standard because you date people all the time that don't have jobs or that live at home or that you have to support. And and I get what Tim was saying. I think Tim was also calling out the, like, as a man, there's different expectations. But also he's like, also, you don't want to be in a position, like you've said, you don't want to be in a position where you have to support someone. And she was like, and I'm not. He doesn't ask me for help. And Tim is like, yet. I think that Jamal's pride would never let him ask Veronica for help, personally. But again, I think that the things that Veronica says she wants for herself, she's not walking in that path. But what I am getting the sense of is that Veronica is definitely having some issues blending her worlds. I just think that this new relationship of hers is causing friction in their friendship. And from the trailer, it looks like we are going to see that eventually come to a blow. You guys, I feel so silly because I didn't connect the pieces. I thought Tim was going to be in this season as like a feature in Veronica's segments. Tim is a cast member. I missed that completely. I remember from Pillow Talk that Tim was in a long-term relationship with someone. But Tim himself has called himself out in saying that, he's not someone that likes to really be out in the mix. He has very, old school characteristics in a relationship. He doesn't fit the mold of or how a man behaves, and he just finds himself struggling in relationships and in love. And so, yeah, he's recently single. Veronica's determined to get him back out there, so she takes him to like a singles event. And this man is so awkward. We see him there for like 2 minutes, and he's asking this lady about her skincare. And that conversation was quickly over. But then he spots someone that he recognizes. And it's this girl that he apparently was talking to, I guess, through social media. And Veronica is like making fun of him a bit because she's like, of course, in a room full of Southern women, you find the one Latina. And if you know, you know. Tim has a bit of Tim has a type. His last 3 ex-girlfriends have been Colombian. Veronica's Latina. Like, he likes himself a Latina. And they were able to, hit it off, and with a little flirting here and there, and he secured a date. So shout out to Tim. I'm really excited to see what trouble these two get into this season. But on to the next. Our boy Tyray. I wanted to hug Tyray so hard this segment. He's getting ready for his date with Tiffany. He's really excited, and it clicked to me that this must be his first date ever. I mean, he said that Camilla, or whoever the catfish was his first girlfriend, and they never got to meet, obviously. He never got to have an official date. And so this is his first real date. And so he looks really nice. He looks sharp. He's making sure he smells good. He has nice flowers. The producers ask him like what his idea of a date is. And it was really sweet. You can tell that he's never been on a date because it was very just movie-like. But I think that's very sweet. And I don't know, at first I was like, did he get there too early? Which is great because he doesn't want to make the girl wait. Or is Tiffany a little late? She was a lot late. Okay? He's at this really nice restaurant. He's a little nervous, but he's just drinking water for now. And he looks at his phone. We see that it's 7:20. And he's like, oh, she must be running late. And I'm like, okay. 20 minutes late without a text. Okay, that's a problem. And I got really good vibes from Tiffany. So I'm like, she's not going to let us down, right? Texts her, no response. Okay. He looks at his phone again. It's 8:10. He's been waiting for her. Nothing. He calls her and it goes straight to voicemail. And at that point, I almost cried for Tyray. I just felt so bad. I know that it took so much for him to put himself out there, and I really hope that this experience doesn't discourage him because he deserves love, and I really hope that he gets to date a lot this season. I hope that he really puts himself out there. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a sucker for a redemption arc. I would love for Tiffany to have a good excuse, a valid one, and to really apologize and make it up to Tyray. That's where I stand on that. That's it on Tyray. It was a really short segment for him. Just a lot of waiting around. So on to somewhere a little more chaotic in Greece with Chantel. Catch up with Chantel. You could tell she's a little embarrassed at the fact that she went through a full range of emotion the first night in Greece. She was like, okay, like maybe I'm getting carried away with this idea of love. Like I'm obviously working through a lot. Like I just need to have fun. And I'm like, yeah, have fun. Like you don't have to find love the first trip out, the first time you go out of your house post divorce. Like, relax. And so I was like, okay, she has a little self awareness. And obviously, Chantel has proved that it is easier said than done. They end up going to an olive chateau, which I've never heard of. But it turns out to be more of an olive farm. And these girls are dressed like they're going to a winery. They were not dressed for that. Chantel was not impressed. And so what do you do when you're bored and you're trying to make the best of something? You start twerking. Yeah, they just started twerking. And for some reason, the guy that was like the instructor, he looked more like a bodybuilder. He was chiseled. He was pretty good looking. And he's just laughing as they're like twerking. And he's like, you need to save that for tonight. Because apparently he was going to take them out to the club. And I'm like, is that part of your job description? Like, what? In his interview, he's like, yeah, foreigners feel very comfortable around us, especially the women. And the way he was just describing it, I was like, it sounds a little bit like sex tourism. A little bit. Just a little bit. And it doesn't help that Chantel is in heat and she's on the prowl. And she reminds us that although she's been divorced only for 6 months, she didn't have sex with Pedro for like a year prior. So she's like ready. We see them pull up to the club where the olive farm guy is, and he's bringing this really beautiful guy friend of his who apparently is a professional soccer player. Chantel's crew, they are aggressive. Like, I'm all for having people be, wingmen, wingwomen. But they were just like, talk to him, talk to him. What do you do? This and that. It's just so aggressive. I'm like, I am overstimulated. Like, chill, have a good time, have a drink. And so they're like pointing at the soccer dude and they're like, oh, you work out? Chantel works out a lot. And then like the dude is like making Chantel like twirl for him. And I'm just like, all of this just felt like a lot. Did you guys get that? Did you guys feel away, or am I just being a little prudy? Like, it just felt. And so the dude likes what he sees, and so he pulls Chantel on the side. They're like, oh yeah, let's go get a drink. And they're sitting down, and Chantel is trying to have a deep convo with this man in the middle of the club. She's like, have you ever been married? And he's like, no, I haven't. Have you? And she's like, yeah, unfortunately. Do you have a problem with that? And he was like, no. And so Chantel is leaving this interaction like, oh my God, people must be so open here. He's so understanding. And I'm just like, yes, he could be understanding, or he probably didn't hear you, or he doesn't care. Like, I just don't. If I were her friend, I'd be like, Chantel, you are not going to fall in love in the club. You are falling in lust, and that's okay. She's just romanticizing. Does end up giving him her number, and him and the olive guy like pounded at the end like they got some prize. It was the whole interaction was very interesting, but Chantel had a good time, and I guess that is the point of the trip. I will say though that she started the episode saying that she was going to slow down and ended the episode talking about falling in love in Greece. And I'm just like, Chantel, you are that girl, huh? It's gonna be a long season. Now to a person in the village over in Crazy Town, Natalie. So we catch up with Natalie post meltdown with Josh, and she's pissed because she's like, I feel like he's playing with my heart. And the thing is, with the way that she thinks about their relationship, I can understand why she thinks that. However, Josh is in a very completely different relationship. I don't think that he has been blunt with his stance, but his actions have been very telling, and just the way he phrases things. And she's not listening carefully. I think she's picking out the things that she wants. And I think personally that he's a little scared of her. So he isn't as direct as he should be. So, and apparently he's been calling her and she's been ignoring him because she's like, well, I'm mad at him. And I'm like, girl, you only have 2 days with this man to find a home. This is not the time to play hard to get. Like, and he's like, listen, I should have been clearer. Like, I'm sorry. I'll be more direct with you about my schedule moving forward. And she apologizes kind of for blowing up. And it sounded like a lot of nothing to me. Did you guys feel that way? I wish he would just tell her, I am not what you think I am to you. Like, they're just, in my opinion, a glorified hookup, a glorified friends with benefit situation that is lasting a little too long. And don't get me wrong, I get wanting to be affirmed, but I think Natalie wants to be chased. It's that whole thing where I think she views Josh as a prize and she like wants to be a prize as well to him, just like his exes that are models and things like that. I think that's what it is. And so he picks her up to go find her a place. So she's like, because of course she's baiting him, because she wants compliments. She's like, so why did you pick me up when I was so mean to you? And he's like, because I care about you. Like, Natalie, you didn't really give him a choice. You were guilt tripping him for the last 24 hours. And so he's like, I wasn't going to leave you alone. And she's like, ugh, we just have a soul connection. We're connected. And he's like my healing stone. And she's like clutching onto his arm. And he's like, you could tell he just wants to crumble because he's in too deep. And so they drive to the place and she's still hanging onto his arm like he's her teenage dream. And so as they're driving over, he's like, listen, like no matter whether you like these places or not, like I'm not going to leave you homeless. And what he reiterated to the producers was that like he does care for Natalie, but he is aware and cautious and a bit anxious, all the things, that it could change. One, she's emotionally not regulated. Two, she wants things that he cannot give. She has marriage on the brain. She has kids on the brain. And he knows that if he doesn't give it to her, which he's not willing to right now, she could go to someone else. Or even more on the brain for him, I'm sure, she could go to Mike. But I will say that he's, looking at places that are close to him. And I guess in Natalie brain, that is very promising. And they look at this place and it looks pretty nice. But Natalie's looking around and she really never looks pleased. But she's like, I don't know if I can afford this place. And it's evident that Natalie really didn't do too much research in her move because she's flabbergasted at the prices and comparing them from California to Florida. And I'm like, yeah, of course California is more expensive. And so they asked the realtor the requirements to move into a place like this. And this is where things went south. Natalie does not have a job. She doesn't have credit. And so she would need a guarantor. And so the realtor's like, listen, this is very common. People have to, find a place. And so what they do is that they get a guarantor. Can he sign up? And she points to Josh. And Natalie's like, can you? And Josh is like, I don't know about that. Like, we'll have to look into that. And Natalie's like, oh, you don't know? He said, I have to see. And I think that was really kind because what he could have said was just no. I would not blame him if he didn't sign up for that. Signing up to be a guarantor is a big deal. I wouldn't do it for anyone that I'm just casually dating. I would have to be with someone long term, and I would still think about it because the way that this country works, like, your name is everything. What you sign your name to, what is tied to your credit, it really can affect you for years to come. I know that Natalie would freak out regardless, but I do think that he should at least explain to her the gravity of the situation and what signing up as a guarantor actually means. Because right now she's just viewing it as, oh, he's not supporting me. Oh, he's neglecting me. Oh, he's leaving me and my mom to rot. And what he says to her is that, listen, we're not at that place where I feel comfortable. Like I would need to be a little more secure. I mean, and I don't blame him because just at the top of the day, she was ignoring his calls. So, like, you guys are definitely not at the place. And so she's like, you need to feel secure? You? And I was literally yelling at the screen, like, he is not your man. You came to America, you married someone else, you left that person, you moved to Florida knowing nobody, you fall in love in lust, fall in love with a guy that doesn't even want to claim you. You decide that you're gonna stalk him to California, move to California, and drag your mother, who knows nobody in America but you. You arrive to California, jobless, homeless, and you're making it someone's responsibility that wants no parts of it. Yeah, this is on you. There were a lot of choices that led to this, and no one made you do it. Your move is your responsibility, Natalie. I'm so sorry to say. If someone isn't being blatantly clear that they want you, that they care for you, please do not assume. Please do not move across the country based off of an assumption. If you have to connect dots that don't exist, you are forcing it. You guys, sometimes we break our own hearts with our delusion. And that's very much where Natalie is. Woof, that was a mouthful. How are you guys feeling about this season? It's so entertaining, and I can't believe that we're only in episode 2. Like, I'm so excited to see the mess that's going to take place in Greece. I'm so excited to see Tyray find love. I'm so excited to see more Veronica and Jamal. I'm excited to see John. We still haven't seen his storyline. I'm excited to see Debbie date. There's just so much that we have yet to see. I hope that you keep up with me. Please do hit the subscribe button because I will be posting recaps. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.